Hey guys, what's going on? I want to get it clear right off the bat that this is not an instructional or how-to video, but this is more my attempt to do video. Today, I'm going to attempt to make sauerkraut. This is something I've been interested in for a while, mainly because I've read about all the potential health benefits of fermented foods and you know, how the probiotics that are contained in fermented foods could assist the digestive tract and improve digestion and overall health. Now, I do supplement daily with a probiotic, and it's something that I really believe in. It's something that since I started doing it, I've noticed a positive difference and I feel really good about. But I've read that the amount of probiotics contained in raw fermented foods far surpasses, you know, like if you were to say have a serving of fermented cabbage, sauerkraut, it could possibly contain as many cultures as a whole bottle of probiotics. Now, of course, I suppose that would depend on the particular sauerkraut you're dealing with and the particular probiotics you're dealing with. So, but point being, it's always nice to have a whole food source of something. And because I believe so strongly in whole food, I'm going to give it a whirl. Now, from what I understand, you know, from what I've read, because I've never made sauerkraut before. Everything I'm going by is just stuff I read on the internet. From what I've read, you want to be very careful when you're making sauerkraut to make sure everything is as clean as possible, because you're going to be fermenting this and it's going to be sitting. You want to try to foster, you know, with fermentation, you want the growth of good bacteria. You don't want to foster the growth of bad bacteria. So if you're putting stuff in there that's contaminated off the bat, that bad bacteria, you know, over so many weeks is just going to proliferate, which obviously we don't want. I watched an old Polish lady do this on YouTube, so I'm really hoping this is going to come out good. Now what I'm going to do is, even though we peeled off a lot of outer leaves and rinsed it, I'm still going to go ahead and I'm going to peel off a few of these, because what we're going to do is, when we take this, after we shred all this cabbage and we put it in the crocks, we're going to press it all down. And what I saw the old Polish lady do was cover the top of it with some of the leaves, some whole leaves, to kind of form a barrier. And then what she did was she put a plate and then a weight on top of it. So I'm just going to mimic her style and, like I said, peel off a few of these leaves and set them aside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half, and then you can see there's like a heart in here, which we're going to just cut out. As you can see, this here, it's like a solid piece, and from what I read, that will not ferment. It's just going to stay hard and, you know, not going to do a whole lot. It smells like cabbage in here. Alright, next what I'm going to do is I've got to take all this cabbage and I've got to shred it up. The old Polish woman who I watched actually did it all by hand. She had this little mandolin that she like straddled and just did it all by hand, which was crazy. I don't have one of those. All I've got is a Cuisinart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it through here, shred it all up, and, you know, as I go, I'm going to just dump it into this tray. And before I can do that, though, I've got to chop it into a little bit smaller pieces so that it'll actually fit in there. I wonder if the neighbors like sauerkraut. I'm gonna have so much of it. Everybody's gonna be more regular around here than they've ever been. We're gonna need a bigger bowl. Now, you guys are probably wondering, like, why go through all the trouble of making your own sauerkraut? Like, dude, why don't you just buy some sauerkraut at the store? Reason being is all the sauerkraut that you find in the store, unless you find something, you know, that's special, like at a health food store, because it's all made, you know, to sit on a shelf. Even if it's refrigerated, maybe those to a lesser extent, but they're all going to be pasteurized, meaning that they've been heated, essentially to kill bacteria. And that's the whole reason you're eating sauerkraut, is for the bacteria. So although certain brands, I think Bubby's is one of them, claims to only be heated very mildly and that it doesn't bring down the level of probiotics. I don't know how true that is, but there's no doubt that if you have something that's raw and live that you actually made fresh, there's no doubt in my mind that the level of probiotics and, you know, is going to be much higher. The potential health benefits are going to be much greater, and even the taste may be a lot better, because I've had fresh sauerkraut as opposed to jarred stuff that you buy in the store, even the really good stuff you buy in the store, and it's day and night difference. Good sauerkraut is actually really good. Crappy sauerkraut is terrible, like, you know, stuff that comes in the bags, you know, that's like sitting there in like the meat case next to the hot dogs. Don't buy that stuff, or in the can. Okay, so next, all the cabbage is shredded, right? So it's time to start putting it in the crocks. The only ingredients you have is the cabbage, salt, and maybe a little bit of water if needed. So the question is, what's the ratio of cabbage to salt? Everything I've read says 5 pounds of cabbage gets minimum of 2, but not more than 3 tablespoons of salt. That's a lot of salt. I would prefer to have it be on the less salty side, but if you use too much salt, you'll inhibit the fermentation process altogether. Use too little salt, you might get overgrowth of, you know, some funky bacteria. I'm going to try to shoot right between 2 and 3. So what I'm going to do is, if it's 5 pounds, it gets, say, 2.5 tablespoons, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2.5 pounds at a time into the crock, and then add 1.25 tablespoons of salt, and kind of mix it as I go so that the salt and the cabbage all get mixed. So what I've got right here is 2.5 pounds of cabbage. I'm going to get my crocks. These crocks I actually picked up at a flea market. Now, they sell fermentation crocks online, and they're generally pretty expensive. Even worse is the fact that you got to pay to ship them, because the weight, you know, you could spend 80 or 100 bucks on a crock, and then you spend another 50 plus to ship it. So it could get pretty crazy. I've seen people do it in plastic buckets. I don't know, I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably look for some type of ceramic vessel to do it in. So look around, you know, see if you can find it. Maybe there's a store in your area that sells them. You're buying them online, I probably wouldn't suggest, unless the place offers free shipping, but I don't see how they could, because you want to avoid the shipping cost because of the weight of these. Now they're just ceramic crocks. They've got lids. Obviously you can see these are a little bit beat up, it's chipped. I made sure to really scrub and wash them as good as I could. You can actually hear it as it starts to emit more water. It's like more, sounds more sloppy. I'll add a little bit of fluid just so that it's submersed. I'll weight it with a plate, like a dish. And I think this crock is actually the perfect size. I'm going to borrow a couple of 25-pound barbell plates from the gym. Weigh it all down with that. Put the lid on and see what we come up with. Hopefully I don't like poison myself. It's salty, but it's not too bad.